And a very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lloyd with the CBC Evening News and our top story. A major tourism conference is underway at the Barbados Hilton. The State of the Industry Conference, as it is being called, involves key stakeholders in the tourism industry from Barbados and across the region. And they're gearing up to discuss several vital issues in the sector. Our Ryan Broom is live on location. Good evening, Ryan.
Good evening, Lisa. Well, the big news coming out of this morning's media breakfast is that 2016 is already shaping up to be another bright and historic year for Barbados' tourism industry. CEO of the Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc., William Griffith, says preliminary results for the first 8 months of this year show that long-stay arrivals are up. In fact, all source markets are up, with the exception of Germany, which fell by 6%.
We have achieved 421,914 long-stay visitors, and we are trending 5.3% ahead of the previous year. That actually translates to approximately 22,000 increased visitor arrivals so far for the year. How we're actually projecting for the end of the year 2016, we are projecting to exceed last year's figure of 591,000. We are forecasting somewhere in the region of just over 5% growth for the island.
The BTMI CEO's presentation also revealed that visitors to the island have been spending more.
And according to the CTO figures, the exit survey figures for 2015, the island actually achieved total visitor expenditure of $867 million US, and that was up from 2014. And so far we've had Q1 estimates, and Barbados recorded expenditure of $337 million US, and that is an increase of 16.6% ahead.
And cruise arrivals for the first half of the year are also up by 3.8%, with 27,000 more tourists expected. Mr. Griffith also highlighted the expected increases in cruise and long-stay visitors as one provider, TUI, has increased its winter rotations from 19 to 24.
They're delivering cruise and flight 19,363 persons coming in on airlines, going to Bridgetown, cruising out, coming back and staying in our hotels. And in actual fact, the projection, almost 20%, I think that works out to be, almost 20% of those people who are flying in this year are actually going to stay in hotels. 4,500 of them are going to stay 7 nights, and 1,484 of them will stay for 14 nights.
And in terms of the upcoming winter season, Mr. Griffith says that several carriers have additional flights, including the JetBlue service from Newark. There will also be increased seating from the Canadian market. Both Virgin Atlantic and British Airways would also have increased flights from the UK. From the European market, there will be an additional flight by Condor from Munich starting November 12th, along with a shared service from Paris to Martinique to Barbados. Well, Lisa, I do have here with me now Sylvia Brown-Bramble, and she's the director of CTO's New York office, and she's going to give me some insight over what's going to be happening here at the Hilton Hotel over the next 2 days. Sylvia?
Well, under the theme, Honoring a Legacy, Defining Our Future, we've brought the best and the brightest in Caribbean tourism, actually global tourism, to share their experiences with the Caribbean. We have on tomorrow's opening session, Adam Stewart, who is the CEO of Sandals, delivering the keynote address, and on Friday morning, Craig Landry from Air Canada. In addition to those two major players in Caribbean tourism, we've assembled almost 500 delegates in Barbados to discuss issues around the Caribbean's preparedness to deal with tourism issues. How do we handle multi-generational travel? How do we handle multicultural travel and emerging markets? What do we do about creating a luxury experience for our visitors? The sharing economy, how does that affect Caribbean tourism? There are signs that it has already begun to impact the industry, and so we want to have an opportunity to discuss that at the conference here. The other topics including a youth congress which brings some students from across the Caribbean to talk about their perception of the tourism industry. And as junior tourism ministers, because that's what we asked them to be, how they would deal with some of those issues affecting Caribbean tourism. That session ends the conference on Friday evening and highlights the talent that the Caribbean tourism industry has to lean on in the future.
Thank you very much, Sylvia. Summer, sorry. And as she said, Lisa, certainly a packed agenda here for the next 2 days, and we'll certainly be covering this on CBC over the next 2 days. So back over to you, Lisa, in the newsroom.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Ryan Broom there at the State of the Industry Conference going on at the Hilton Hotel, and that conference, of course, ends on Friday. Well, government has collected millions from the value-added tax on cell phone minutes. This is one of the economic recovery measures put forward in last year's fiscal budget. Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs Chris Sinclair says the tax, which came into effect on January 1st this year, is expected to reach the $18 million mark.
It's been going pretty well. It's been going very well so far. It's been very, very close to the target, if not on top of the target. Of course, we are only through the first 9 months of the year, so we have to see how it runs for the rest of the calendar year, and then moving on from there at the end of the fiscal year next year. But so far, it's been going well so far from our report.
Mr. Sinclair was speaking to the media on the sidelines of a presentation of exercise books at the Eagle Hall Primary School. He says, however, revenue from the sweetened beverage tax is slightly below the trend and consumer consumption patterns have not changed significantly.
That has been running just below trend in terms of the collections. We haven't seen a dramatic decline in the use of sweetened beverages yet, but it comes with time. We didn't expect that we would see that in the fourth year. It's going to take some time. But in terms of the actual tax collection, it has been running smoothly. We've not had major complaints, and the resources have been coming.
And the finance minister is of the view that the merger of Customs and the Barbados Revenue Authority will go on as planned. The deadline for submission of option forms is September 19th. And Mr. Sinclair says he will be meeting with the union shortly to examine any remaining issues.
We'll go over any concerns they have, any other lingering concerns, but I believe that the government has really gone beyond what could normally be expected in a circumstance like this. And we will have a further intervention or statement from it, depending on what the outcomes are. But as far as I can see, I think that we've reached a point where we can begin the process of transition.
Mr. Sinclair also dismissed the union's concern that the merger will have a negative impact on national security.
I'm not sure why the union is getting itself all involved in those matters. That is a matter for the National Security Council, which has met, which has reviewed, which has seen the levels of staffing, the technical skills and so forth that will be required, and therefore they are satisfied that this does not disrupt and will not disrupt the security apparatus of the country.
Barbados' unemployment rate for the second quarter of this year stood at 10.1%. This is from the Barbados Statistical Service Continuous Household Labor Force Survey. The figures show the unemployment rate among males stood at 9.4% and 10.9% among females. 135,100 people were employed. Of this total, 69,600 were males and 65,400 were females. 15,200 people were unemployed. These include 7,200 males and 8,000 females. The labor force stood at 150,300. Stay with us. We'll have more news right after the break.
Don't let your data experience slow you down. Step up to Digicel, Barbados' fastest 4G network, more than twice as fast as the slow network. Get more with Digicel. Digicel, the fastest 4G network in Barbados. Dial *153 # to sign up to Digicel today.
Winning a fabulous Miami shopping spree is in the cards. Use any Scotiabank credit card for all your everyday shopping, dining out, and more. You'll earn chances to win a trip for two to Miami, including round-trip airfare and $1,000 in cash. The more you use your card, the more chances to win. So pay with any Scotiabank credit card today. Need a card? Apply now to get a welcome bonus, plus more chances to win. Contest ends September 30th. Conditions apply.
Peoples, we store just got even better. Come on in. Come down to the new renovated People's Market in Tudor Bridge with bigger aisles and even more in store. All your general grocery needs. A whole new fruits and vegetable section. Beer, wine and liquor. A wide selection of meat and fish. And everything for your outdoor chilling and barbecue grilling. But most of all, everything at low prices. Right, Miss Edwards?
That's right, Ma. I know we have the People's Mall too.
People, come on down to the People's Market in Tudor Bridge.
Something special starts with a Scotia Plan loan. Like a family vacation. Or sending the kids off to university. Or trading in your old wheels for new ones. A Scotia Plan loan from Scotiabank is the ideal plan for anything you want to make happen. Choose the amount you need and the repayment terms that suit you best. Apply before September 15th at your nearest branch for special loan rates. Something special starts with a Scotia Plan loan. Conditions apply.
This week on Rejoice and Sing, we feature the beautiful voices of the family trio, the CDs.
Yes, my Lord, I'm satisfied. He said he would be my comfort, and he said he would be my God.
A conversation with Adrian and Margaret Agard.
He's always seeking to make sure it is God's will, that he gets the glory from what we do.
And we shine the spotlight on a young girl with a big voice, Trinity Clark.
You shine bright as this. It's the world to go. Boys all over the world.
Don't miss Rejoice and Sing, Sunday at 9:05 p.m., brought to you with the compliments of Sewing World for savings, satisfaction, and service.
Recent incidents of gun-related activity in Barbados have sparked growing debate in the country. This past weekend's comments by the Attorney General further amplified the debate. And today, we here at the CBC sought to find out what the man on the street thinks are the reason for the current spate of gun crimes.
I guess just peer pressure, man. Young boys getting influenced by people to do wrong. And I guess just because they're idle, they ain't got nothing to do in the job, you know what I mean? Just home on the block. People's values, what people have been taught and what they've been exposed to as they've gone older.
The unemployment among the youth is extremely concerning, so people are turning to other alternatives, that being illegal means. And also, I think that yes, you could blame the factor in that we are financially unstable, but there's also something wrong with the socialization within our country as of recent. So people, rather than seek to build themselves up, they are seeking to take what belongs to others.
Thank you, sir. You got to blame the youth and the public of Barbados and some of the parents. Yeah, bringing some of it. People are just silly. Huh? People are just retarded.
Over the last 3 years, Barbadian farmers have been benefiting from a hefty grant from the United Nations Development Fund. This week, UNDP officials visited a local farm to see how that $50,000 grant has paid off.
Annette Beckett has renewed hope for Barbadian farmers. She's co-director of a dairy farm in Bloor, St. Thomas, which was selected as a pilot project for the UNDP's Small Grants Program.
The economic cost is what everything is all about, and I was able to demonstrate that as a result of having these systems that we have been able to cut our energy costs, I would think so far by about 30 to 40%.
Through the grant, water harvesting and solar energy were implemented at the farm, and there's also potential for biogas. The new installments supply 50% of her current need, and that system costs about 30,000 Barbados dollars. The UNDP offered initial investment for the project in hopes that others realize how sustainable renewable energy can be. So the next step would be to create a business model which can be supported by the public or private sector Foreign Trade Minister Senator Maxine McLean, who is set to travel soon, pledged her support to the project.
And I think basically what we can do is to sit down and around this build a business case which would allow us then to replicate it. So if we could do that and you know, and certainly as we look for partners, I believe that in addition to scaling it up from your end, we could also look at our bilateral partners as well. And so I think that is what we should do, sit down and flesh out an idea model. So that is my commitment on my return.
This particular project, which also included training for farmers, started December 2013 and ends this month. Denise Blackman, CBC News.
The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth will be staging a number of activities to commemorate National Youth Week from September 25th to October 1st. This is the second edition of the week, which was introduced by the Division of Youth Affairs to sensitize the public to the issues confronting young people, highlight the positive contributions of youth to national development, and to mainstream youth participation in the policies and programs that affect them. The theme of the week is 50 Years of Excellence, Youth Unified, Charting the Way Forward. And on September 27th, there will be a National Youth Service Day. Youth Minister Stephen Lashley said the focus of that event will be volunteerism.
I think in the National Youth Policy, we talked a lot about young people getting involved in national service. And from time to time, members of the public do speak to this. But on this occasion, we are going to be actually doing a full day of national service in which young people can be involved in meaningful activity. Quite a bit of that will be structured, but we are not closing it off to that. We're inviting community groups, districts to also indicate what activities they will be running to get young people from the various communities involved in volunteers.
Well, during the launch of the week at the Youth Ministry, Minister Lashley was pleased to announce the National Youth Consultation slated for September 28th at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Centre.
To really engage in purposeful discussion and problem solving, we have to have the voices of our young people being heard. We can come up with as many solutions as possible in relation to what we perceive to be the challenges. But unless we involve young people themselves, who I believe are very bright, many of them are very smart, they have benefited from a very, I would say, proactive, maybe one of the best educational systems in the world. So we believe that involving them in purposeful dialogue and helping them to shape the solutions to challenges is very important.
And still to come, a look at some of the stories making headlines across our region. Stay with us.
No need to worry over back-to-school expenses. Get a loan from Axel Finance for back to school, and you can win great stuff for your